See, there we go.
Let
Hello,
me just wipe my
Star.
screen. There we go.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jemie Sae Koo. I'm the CEO and founder of Psychable. I am here with the incredible, amazing Starr Hawkins. For those of you who are watching, I know some of you have been seeing a lot of our messages around our Quiet Burnout event on January 25th. For those of you that don't know or considering coming, it's an event that's solely dedicated to our mothers. And so Star is here with us today, who just really embodies the epitome of motherhood in so many ways.
Oh, thank you.
Um, and I think it was truly divine timing how we crossed paths again through meeting at Misha at the Misha event, and I got to meet your beautiful baby daughter. So right
Yes.
now she's in a really beautiful, unique season in her life with a grown daughter and a newborn. And so Star lives everything health, wellness, community here in Miami. And she is just such a treasure to our community and is so loved for her authenticity and her electric energy. So as a start of the new year, we wanted to really have a real conversation around motherhood and wellness and burnout, right? What it actually looks like to feel supported, especially in seasons when we've given everything to everyone around us. So Star also is going to be running a marathon. It's like, woo, like, wow.
I, you
She's
say
going to be running.
burnout. You say
Yeah.
burnout, and I'm like 26.2 miles. Definitely, I'm burning out this weekend.
Wow, 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 wow. She is actually going to be running the marathon the day of our quiet burnout. So she'll be with us in spirit and we will be cheering from her for her from our hearts. So
Thank you.
congratulations. And so I wanted to just start by for those who are new to you and coming in from our community, can you just share with us a little about you, your life, your background, and your motherhood journey?
So I had my first daughter when I was 21. And I was kind of the first one out of all of my friends to have a baby. So people started calling me baby mama, and that's kind of how baby mama even evolved. It was just I was in retail, I was young, I was partying a lot, and I was like the baby mama. And later on, that turned into me finding sobriety, which led to me finding fitness. And that was a huge thing for me. I mean, fitness is like my church. It
Mm.
really helps me develop as a better mom because, I think addiction looks different for everyone. And I think that's why a lot of people sometimes struggle with knowing if they are an alcoholic or if they aren't an alcoholic. Because with my addiction, I was able to go to work, I was able to show up every day for what I thought was me being a good mom. I never felt like my daughter went without clothes or stuff, but I needed to stop drinking because it wasn't serving my life, and I wasn't a present mother, and being hungover, like you can't be hungover with a newborn.
Yes,
um,
yes.
so fitness really saved my life, and it ended up getting me sober. And I started teaching. I tried out for a Barry's boot camp several times, did not get it. And I always like to tell people that because that's kind of my personality. Like I don't let things like get to me or keep me from trying.
Mm.
Um, I got into Pilates before the Pilates boom, which
Wow.
10 years ago.
Amazing.
And then once I got into that, I had tried out for berries again and got berries. But at that point, I think my name and who I was already kind of finding itself because I started training a bunch of moms. I had like 7 moms at one time. And then COVID happened, and then they all got pregnant again because of COVID. It was like divorce or pregnancy. And I just slowly turned into Baby Mama Fit, and then kind of had a rebrand the last year because I had my daughter Soleil, who's now 9 months.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's like the short version. Obviously it was a lot of like struggling and being a single mom and being on food stamps and really like fitness. I think COVID for me really helped me become my own businesswoman because the gyms and stuff had closed, and I utilized this platform. I mean, I can't thank social media enough. I know social media can be very toxic, but in my instance, it really gave me that financial freedom to be able to buy, my first home and have my own schedule, and it's been really good for me.
Beautiful. I'm so curious. I mean, there's so many layers to this and so many nuances, but first of all, my curiosity is where do you derive your motivation from, right? And as you shared, it hadn't been exactly a smooth road. There's a lot of bumps and bruises, and I'm sure hellish moments around, along the way. And, like so many of us who has battled or struggled with anxiety and depression, and you've been really open about your recovery turn your life around. Like there's a lot of people who are just like, I'm done with life. Like this is status quo and I'm just gonna stay here. But like what was that turning point for you and how did you get yourself, to a point where you're willing to be uncomfortable, right? And you're willing to do the hard things that not a lot of people are willing to do.
I mean, I think I've always kind of had that fighter in me. I grew up, my mother also struggled with addiction issues. So there were a
Mm.
lot of moments in life where, like, when we're all like super young and we're like, oh, when we do our VH1, what was the shows where it's like your VH1 story?
Yes.
My ending, like, oh, this is how she came up life, like,
Mm.
I always wanted, I don't know. I always wanted different, like I do believe in, like, my sister, not to compare the two, but she grew up with the same mom and her life is a little bit different. Whereas my life, I've always just been kind of like the black sheep, and I moved away at a young age. I came to Miami. Um, I've been here ever since. And I just, like, it was never good enough for me. I was always getting in
Mm.
trouble because I was the whistleblower. Like didn't like that my mom was drinking, or it's funny enough, I turned into exactly what I hated. That's what I think trauma does. But
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I was just always like anti everything, like, and I mean, even looking back now, I think, like, when I see kids, nowadays, and like how it was in school for us, if you had any extra energy or you showed any signs of aggression, you automatically got written off as a bad kid, and I think that, like, a lot of mine was just like built up energy. Like, I wish I had, like, put it into, more sports or counseling, therapy. I wish people understood what I was going through in that time.
Mm.
Because, a lot of time you just get written off. But because of that, I really do think that built that resilience in me, to not give up, to, I always wanted to look different. I got fully tattooed when I was like 19 years old, and it's like I always took the harder path. And I think that that harder path kind of, like, it's not always great, but it's made me become this fighter that, if you look at me and you judge me and you think one thing about me, well, once you get to know me, you're going to think something else. Or, if you tell me no, even in a constructive way, like Barry's, no, you're not going to get it, I'm going to keep trying. I use it as motivation. It really,
Mm.
it just lights a fire under my ass. And, you
Mm.
know, obviously it's not always good because sometimes I'm like a workaholic, or, I experience burnout a lot, and I have
Mm.
to take some time off and, like, regroup, or, you know, some days you just don't want to do it. But I think working too in an industry where you're helping people, that really helps me to get up, because
Yeah.
sometimes I don't want to do it. But when you have people relying on you, um, you know, and you know how it is being a mom. I mean, we have people relying on us all the time. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so, you know,
Well, and also the transformation, right? That you're leading people through. And that is truly, I think it speaks volumes to you as a professional, right? And your devotion to helping others. But in order to do that, we actually have to help ourselves first, right?
yeah,
Like put that oxygen mask on ourselves. And I think addiction in itself has such a bad rap. Right. I think in this sort of society, it's like you quickly put a label on. And I've worked with thousands of individuals who have recovered or have been struggling with anxiety, depression, and addiction is a part of it. But these are all symptoms to it. I find like a deeper root. And
right.
so my curiosity to you was like, because I think the way you've turned your life around speaks tremendous volume of how much work you were willing to do for yourself, how much how much you were willing to dig in to do the hard work. And so I'm curious, was there like a pivotal moment in your life where you're like, this is, I can't do this anymore? Like, how did you find that fight, that fire? Because there has to be that readiness and willingness, right? But
Yeah,
how
yeah.
did you find that? And what was that turning point for you?
I mean, I would definitely say I had just gotten into like I was living with one of my best friends. She was my daughter's godmother. We were living together and we had a great time in our 20s. But with alcohol and going out and partying and being 20, you're immature, and I think that our friendship had pretty much come to an end.
Mm,
Which the beautiful part about sobriety is you get to make amends and you get to
mm,
rehab those relationships. So I mean, we're friends now, but we had, she was like, you can't live here anymore. I was like, it's okay. I'm moving out anyways, that back and forth. And I was dating a guy at the time. The guy was like, yo, I think that you might have a problem. Like, he was like, have you ever tried AA and all these other things? So I think it was like I had nowhere to live. And I was moving to Wynwood, which at the time was like right
hmm.
next to Wood Tavern. I was
Right.
moving
It's
right
just
next
turning
to Wood
around.
Tavern.
It's
Yeah.
just turning around. So I
Right.
can only imagine how it was like before.
It was
Wow.
it was not what it is now. I
Yeah.
mean, trust me, they knocked down my building, but it was
Mm,
also like kind of like an underground spot. Like we would go to Wood Tavern every night. So I'm like, oh, I live right next to Wood Tavern. This is great. So
right.
um I, I just, my life wasn't working. And I made so many excuses and I lost my phone so many times
Mm,
and, gotten tickets so many times or, bad things happen and it would just keep happening and I would just keep making excuses for it. And I think like the best way like to think about it is, if you have cancer and somebody tells you not to smoke because you have cancer, you don't smoke. You're just like, okay, I have cancer. I'm not going to smoke. But with alcohol, I would constantly have these bad things happen to me and I would keep doing it and I could not stop, and it was just
hmm.
like, yo, what is going on? And it was like kind of like a last plea to this guy to make this relationship work. And then also I was just so sick of like feeling like shit and then repeating it over and over again that I started going to meetings and um I don't know, eventually like the information just stuck, I guess.
Mm,
And I started realizing like all you need is that one commonality, you hear the one story that sticks with you. And I mean for me it was like, waking up out of a blackout in my car driving and realizing that I had been driving. And it's like, where have I been driving and how embarrassing is that?
wow.
And I hadn't told anybody because I was so embarrassed and so like this is horrible. But then I think I heard the story in like a meeting and I was like, oh my God, so this is, it just made me realize that, we are very unique. But when it comes to problems and stuff, we're kind of all struggling through the same things. Especially with being a
Yeah.
mom and like postpartum, it's
Yes.
all like
Yes.
the things that we're feeling are very similar when you talk to someone,
Yes.
so I think just like talking to people and realizing that I wasn't alone in this, like maybe
Mm,
maybe I grew up a little bit different than you, but our feelings are the same and a lot of addictions look the same and you don't even realize it. They have similarities of what caused you to do it or the certain things that happen to you and you keep doing it. You're like, oh my God, you went through that too. I did that too. I lost a
hmm.
Louboutin. I had my first pair of Louboutins and I lost one Louboutin at Live. Okay, never got that Louboutin back. I worked so hard to buy that Louboutin and lost one drunk. Like, why did
Wow.
you stop drinking then? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like when I work with clients, oftentimes, on their road to recovery, I often use the metaphor like it's like breaking up in a bad relationship. It's that old friend or that old boyfriend that, maybe something was just so good about it, but then you just keep going back to it, but it was no longer serving your highest anymore.
Yeah.
And so there's so much of that death and dying and that shedding process that has to occur.
Yeah.
And for you to be able to step into spaces of discomfort, right? Because we know that the mind usually defaults to the familiar and looking for the evidence, right? And so one would rather choose a familiar hell than an unfamiliar heaven. right? And so, like, even bringing that awareness piece, I think this is what you were touching about. It's just you hear that story and then you bring in that awareness and you're like, okay, this is has to stop.
Yeah.
I can't be in this relationship anymore.
And it's constant work. I mean, I don't think like I'm ever obviously cured, or like, I will say that the life that we live now, this whole wellness oriented life that's happening, and I don't know, maybe it's because we're in Miami and wellness is huge here. I've noticed, from my daughter who's 15, it doesn't seem as cool to get like, super faded, and
Mm,
like you go to restaurants in Miami and there's mocktails, and I just feel like, a lot of my girlfriends, they want to go to wellness classes in the morning, or they want to go wellness events. It's not, we still go out and we still, socialize, but I do feel like it's cool to be sober, or it's cool to not drink, or to be sober curious. So it's made it easier for me. I definitely think like 10 years ago, it was taboo. Like you said, addiction was like, oh, you don't drink? What, you have a problem? Whereas now, if you say you're not drinking, people just assume it's dry January, or maybe you're training for a marathon, or, like, people don't necessarily assume the worst, and I hope it's like that in other places in America. I mean, I feel like Miami has a really strong fitness culture.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, like, it never stops. I have to constantly work at staying healthy and staying sober, because if it's not drinking, it could be something else. It could be, shopping. It could be overworking myself, and then, being rude to my family because I'm upset about that, or
Yes, yes.
so it comes out in other things.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. You touched about postpartum. I'm curious, what has postpartum been for you this time around, physically, emotionally, spiritually? Can you also share a little bit more about just like even rediscovering this next version of yourself? And what I loved about your last video was like becoming her, right? And what that unfolding, what's coming in this alive for you this season?
I mean, postpartum, I don't remember first postpartum. It was so long ago. I I wish I remembered it. It really is important to write this stuff down, like get a journal and write it down, because it would be cool to look back. This postpartum was definitely a lot different because I had a partner helping me. So there,
Mm,
it was nice, and his mom came, and then my family came. So, support is huge. I also have One Tribe, which was great. Like, I could go and teach the mom classes. I could bring the
yeah.
baby. So community is going to be like a huge one. But I was a little crazy. I think at like, I don't know, 4 weeks or something, I tried to go to Barry's boot camp and do a class. And there's a video, I have to find it, of me, like, obviously still in like that pad diaper situation.
Hmm.
And there's like this beautiful model behind me, River, and he's like pumping weight. And I don't know what the fuck I thought I was doing. I was just like, girl, I should have been at home. I should have been at
Yeah.
home in bed. So my postpartum's like a little bit different, whereas I feel like I need to be out. I need to work out. I need to be seen. I need to, like, there was, I think it was like swim week or something. And I saw my girlfriend Angie today. She came to one of my classes, but she was nice enough to like take me out with her one day because I
Mm,
wanted to go out so bad. I look at the photos now. I'm like, I should have stayed home. You know, like, you don't know when you're in it.
yes, exactly.
You just know
Exactly.
that you need to be out. But I'm like,
Right.
okay, I could have waited a couple more weeks. I did not need to be out, but
Right.
in that moment, that's what I needed. For me, I'm,
Mm,
I'm a very social person, and postpartum was like, being outside,
mm.
and being with friends, and you know going to lunches and going to workouts, and movement was really big for me. So I think it was very hard when I felt like, movement wasn't really accessible at that time.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You talk about movement. I feel like that's like foundational in terms of just helping you stay centered and aligned and restored. I'm just curious, like, what other things do you lean into, or do you like what's those tools in your toolbox to help you not only stay grounded as a mother, but just, to come back from even moments of burnout?
I mean, I love to veg out. I absolutely love to veg out and do absolutely nothing, especially if I work all week long, like, Saturday after 12 o'clock, once I finish my classes, I'm like, okay, make some good food, watch a good show. I love to just be a couch potato and do absolutely nothing and watch,
Mm.
well, I don't watch Gilmore Girls. My daughter loves Gilmore Girls, but maybe watch like something else with her, my older one, or go to the beach or have a lunch with friends, like refill my cup that way, catch up with people, phone calls, be creative. I do love to create content. I like social
Mm.
media. So, maybe, doom scrolling on Instagram, but doing it for, purposes of, oh, I could create this video, or, seeing how friends and family are doing. So really just doing nothing is what I love to do. I needed like a
I
couple of
love that.
hours of that. And then,
Mhm.
get back into it, get back to creative and back to work.
Beautiful. So much of what you stand for is so obviously rooted in health and wellness and community. I'm curious, how has motherhood reshaped your sense of calling or your purpose?
I mean, I never thought I would enjoy being a mom again this much. I think the first time
Mm.
was a little tarnished because I was a single mom and I was just young, and like, you don't know until you know. And I think in your 20s, you just like, the wrong things matter, right? You care about your friends too much, or you care about how people perceive you. And then, you get a little bit of that wisdom, like late 30s, you just stop giving an F about stuff and you realize what's important. And I've really been just soaking that into like a big part of like, having my time is actually being with my baby and playing with her in the room and singing songs. And before, like, you see grandma do it, like, right, you see your parents do it, you're like, oh yeah,
Yes.
that's what they do. But I'm almost like, in this round, I really want to enjoy every moment because it does go by so fast.
So
It goes by
fast. And
so
I'm
fast,
thinking of I.
and you don't think about it, like, you don't realize it when people are telling you in the moment, you're like, yeah, whatever. But it really, like, my daughter's 16,
Wow.
she's driving.
How do you hold this aspect of ambition and presence at the same time, especially in this season of your life, being a new mom again and all that? Like how are you holding that within yourself? What are you noticing, and how do you navigate between the two?
I mean, it's hard with the phones, right? So you got to try to, like, I try to schedule time with my daughter and with my older daughter, where obviously we're not on the phone, but I
Mm.
mean, a lot of what I do is social media. So even if I'm being invited to, my daughter loves basketball and she loves like the WNBA and stuff. So even if I'm getting invited to a game, I'm probably filming us there too. So a lot of it I don't post until after I leave. I stop posting in real time because I feel like, number one, it can be kind of dangerous, right? People don't need to know
Yeah.
exactly where you are. But also, it
Mm.
takes time. It takes time to edit. Why? I'd much rather be in the moment and enjoy it. Get the videos, be in the moment, enjoy it, and then deal with the posting later, even if that means I have to hire someone to do that for me.
Mm.
So, like,
Mm.
having people come or having people edit videos for me so that way I can be more present when I am in those moments. Because, yeah, like, doing social media is great, but you also want to enjoy,
Yeah.
I think like the biggest thing about like my classes and stuff is trying to make them more like experiences. And there's nothing worse than going to like an event or going to these like influencer things and there's no vibe. Everyone's just on their phone. Or you meet people
Mm.
that are super big personalities on their phone and then you meet them in person and they don't even really say hello to you. You're like,
Right. Yeah, you're
you're
like, who
so
are you?
big. Right. You're
Yeah.
so big online. Like I could have sworn they were gonna at least like be like,
Have
what's
a
up?
personality.
No. So I want to be like, you meet me in person, I'm the same person, but
Beautiful.
but yeah, it's hard to balance. It is hard to balance. I'm still navigating that. We don't know what these phones are going to do to our kids.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sure. But going back to this whole notion of movement and your body, you're running a marathon. You're training for one, and it's happening on Sunday. Um, what has movement and physical challenge, like training and running a marathon, taught you about just listening to your body and just even like, yeah, even about motherhood? I'm curious if there's any correlations with that too.
Um, well, it definitely taught me that you need time to heal.
Mm,
I think the first 3 to 4 months I was trying to train for the marathon, I just wasn't, my body probably wasn't healed, lots of pain in my hips. I think my hips were probably coming back together. Also, you don't realize it, but even just being overweight, 5, 10 pounds, like it's heavy on your body, you feel,
yeah,
you run
totally.
different, so it was brutal. I wouldn't recommend it, guys. If you're postpartum, I would not recommend running a marathon 9 months later. But
Mm,
it's funny. The people who do it do it. I've talked to several women who are like, "Yeah, I did it too. I did it like a year, the same year. Like you heal and then they put themselves back in it." I almost feel like I wanted to do it to prove myself that I could, to prove to moms I
wow.
could. But
Mm,
I'm just now at like the 8 month mark, at maybe the 7 month mark. I'm just now feeling like my body feels good to run. Like I would say the first like you know 4 or 5 months, it wasn't feeling like that. It was feeling
mm,
very, very hard on the body. So
mm-hmm,
I'm
mm-hmm.
I'm excited. The most I've ran is 13 miles. So this 26.2 is going to be hard.
Yeah.
And if I have to walk it, I'm going to walk it. But I'm going to finish.
Absolutely. Wow. That's so beautiful and just so inspirational on so many levels. What do you love most about living and raising children in Miami? I'm just curious, where do you go personally to just restore yourself? Where are your favorite restaurants, your hot spots? Can you kind of give us a little bit of a list of what comes to mind for you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, if you have babies, you definitely hit a class at One Tribe, bring your baby. I love the space there, and they have,
Mhm,
um, acupuncture. They have pretty much anything all women based.
mhm,
I would say I live in Little Haiti, so I'm loving like the Magic City area. There's a really
mm,
cool place by me, 727 Pilates. I teach at Mimi Yoga, the hot yoga there I'm obsessed with. And then I'm at Midtown at the Berries, which I love Midtown. I love Carrot Express. That's my go-to.
mhm,
Um, DC Pie for karaoke. 1-800
mm.
Lucky if you like Asian food. My husband's Filipino. They also have
Oh,
karaoke.
nice.
Yeah, so I
Love
I
that.
love I love 1-800 Lucky. I love Koyo Taco, the back room. They have like R&B on Sundays. If you're into, dancing in a dark room where no one can see you and you can just dance, it's a great spot. Wynwood's got its, hidden gems.
Hmm.
What's the record one that people love? They have like records that they play.
Oh, is that in the Wynwood area?
Yeah, that's in
I
Wynwood.
know
People
exactly
love
what you're
that.
talking about.
That spot is kind of cool too.
It is. It's very cool.
Sunny's. I live by
Oh,
Sunny's.
Sunny's,
People
yes.
love Sunny's. So I've done that as well. We definitely have a great like food scene. I am a fan of Komodo and David Grutman's spots. I think it's like
Yes.
energy. I love Miami. I love Ocean Drive and Muscle Beach. My husband works out at Muscle Beach all the time and hits the bars. South
Hmm.
Point Park on a Sunday, watching the sunset and seeing the people dance. Salsa and the acro yoga and just like being there with the family. I mean, we live in a beautiful city. Every pocket is just, you go to the Gables or the Grove, you go to Brickell. You got a
Hmm.
walking city down there. You get your like New York fix. I love Miami. I love Miami, and
Mm.
and there is so much more now to do with kids. You got the museums, the children's museum. We've got the Pam. Um, I'm going to something at Aventura tomorrow. I think Bluey's going to be there, so I'm going to Aventura Mall. Like, there's always something going on.
Beautiful, beautiful. You're also so great at bringing community together, right? And especially like with you have such a high attunement to mothers. I'm just curious, in your work with so many women and mothers, what do you think they're craving for right now? What do you think, why do you think they're craving for this deeper connection and community right now?
I mean, I think because people realize that you don't have to do it alone. Like
Mm,
it's not as glamorous as like it's not glamorous to do it alone. You'd much rather do it with like your friends and get the babies together and there's so many, like there's walk clubs where girls are just going to walk to socialize. Why not stroller walk clubs? There's run clubs. Why not a stroller run club? And there is in Miami. There's both of those, like
mm,
I think that we just have social media now and we have so many ways to connect, whether it's a WhatsApp group or Instagram, and we're all yearning for connection. We saw like
mm.
what happened with COVID where people couldn't connect, and now we want the complete opposite. And having being a mother, that these places like One Tribe that are coming up, I think that there's going to be more places like that. I think there's going to be more like hangout spots. My girlfriend opened up one called Two Brothers in the
Oh
Citadel. It's
yeah,
like,
Oriana. I love
yeah, yeah,
Oriana.
yeah.
She's so yeah, that
I
woman is
mean,
also
stuff like
amazing
that.
too. Yes,
But maybe
yes.
it's more, maybe it is more of a social focus. Maybe it's more of like a juice bar, but it's like,
Hmm.
bring your baby. And I just think people like, um,
Have you been to
I
Lulu House in
Lulu House,
Midtown?
exactly.
Yes.
Yes,
Hmm.
another beautiful spot. Like, I just
Hmm.
think, obviously, I'm in this moment now because I had the
Yeah.
baby. I do wonder if I'm going to still feel this way in like 2 years. Like when you kind of grow out of the like play date era.
Right. Yeah.
But I don't think it's a phase. I mean, ClassPass said that what 77% increase in mommy and me classes.
Hmm.
So I think like women are they're wanting that sisterhood. They're wanting to not just be in the house
Yes,
by
yes.
themselves.
Exactly. So for the mothers who are listening, who are feeling quietly exhausted or quietly burning out, but can't really fully name it or put her finger on it, I'm curious, what would you want her to hear from you right now?
Definitely don't do it alone. Like, put yourself out there. Go on
Mm,
Facebook, find the mom walk group and just go for a walk, because I mean, like that's the only thing that's helped me in addiction. It's the only thing that's helped me and everything is just connecting with people and talking about it. And even
mm,
if it's just like one friend, like
beautiful.
you just need one. You just need one person to connect with and it makes it so you're not alone,
Mm,
because you're not.
beautiful. Thank you so much, Star. How can we support you? Give us all the places and the classes and where we can support you.
Well, I'm everywhere.
Yeah, you are.
But just find me on Instagram. I'm, Wednesdays and Fridays. If you do have a baby, you can bring your baby to One Tribe. I'm there Wednesdays and Fridays at 9 a.m. And most of my workouts you can bring your baby to. I teach a free pool Pilates at the Moxie, and people have brought their babies to that. Just bring their floaties,
Mm.
and you might have to like obviously stop the workout to be with your baby, but it's better than not coming at all. And I'm at Mimi Yoga. I'm at Barry's Boot Camp. I am everywhere. So just shoot me a DM and I will send you my full schedule and invite you as my guest whenever you want to
I
come.
I love it. Well, I'm in. I'm definitely in for it, Star, and I can't wait to join you in one of your classes too, and bring my baby as well. Star, thank you for your time, your energy, your support. You've heard Star say this, right? Everything centered around connection. So if you're a mother who's really deeply craving that connection and needing support, we're going to invite you to join us on January 25th, this Sunday at Mindspace in Wynwood for this mothers only event that's curated specifically for our mothers.
That's so cool.
Um,
So cool
so if
that you're
you,
doing that
yeah,
for the
thank
moms. Keep
you.
doing them. Keep doing them. I want to come to the next one. I'm sorry I can't.
Yes, yes. Well, we're going to be cheering you on and rooting for you in your marathon. So yeah, this event is world class. We're going to bring in beautiful master breath practitioner Eugene Gant. He's a Miami well-known practitioner. We're going to be eating healthy, seed oil-free food provided by Shahs of Kebab. You're going to be meeting like-minded women, mothers, founders, entrepreneurs who really get it. And this is a beautiful way to expand your connection and network with one another to support each other. So if you're a mom in Miami, you want to join us for these events, please go to the link in our bio and register now. We'll see you soon, Star. Thank you so much for
Thank
everything
you for
that you
having me.
do and inspiring all of us to just do better and keep on keeping on. So thank you again.
Thank you so
Appreciate you.
much. Have a
All
good day.
right. See you soon. Bye
Bye.
bye.